This week's LEGO Wars is brought to you by legitimate hard drives. Remember, if you've backed up your documents once, it's better to back them up another 419 times. Welcome back to LEGO Wars and Heat K of the series. Last time out, our external bots took over the show as Megalodon and Hospital had delivered some of their best performances to date. Tonight we enter the final third of our heats with our standout player machine from Series 4 Switchback, entering tonight as the 8th seeds alongside stalwarts of the series Cato and Neimodia, seeded 17th. Let's see who else will be joining them tonight.
First, from Dallas, Texas and seeded number 8, Switchback.
After going through the play-ins last year to make the bracket, Switchback will hope their drive updates can take them directly through this time.
From Didcot and seeded number 17, Cato Neimodia.
The ever-staring Cato has never failed to make the bracket, but after stumbles for their fellow stalwarts P1 and Wobber, could this be a further changing of the guard?
From Megalania.
Another year, another redesign for the veteran Verts, as they will hope to reclaim a spot in the bracket after last year's disappointments.
From Warrington, Flashover Delta.
After their top 4 finish in International 5, this new iteration of Flashover has hit the ground running and could be a real thorn in the side for our seeds.
From Southwold, Brick Astley.
Much like Kraken last year, Brick Astley makes their main series debut with a title already under their belt after winning LEGO Wars Champions and will be another one to watch tonight. With some big hitters lined up tonight, we'll start the action with a rematch from last year. Switchback takes on Megalania. When these two fought last series, Megalania was the seeded machine as their tactical decision to spin down dished out some heavy damage on Switchback, but their inability to finish the job would prove decisive as they failed to finish in the top 3 by the heat's end. With the Bone Spinner returning to the ground game wars, let's see how it will play out this time.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
We dive headfirst into the hole that is Heat K, starting off with Switchback, the number 8 seed, taking on Megalania with that enormous vertical spinner. Kind of vibes of Uppercut from BattleBots and, Ripperoni, I guess, to some degree, although Ripperoni has its own kind of representation in LEGO Wars. Megalania's weapon has stopped Switchback, the 8 seeds, still off and running, although this version of Switchback is infinitely less cool than the original version. I said what I said. Megalania now back up to speed, trying to get that weapon into play. Does get the weapon into play on the side armour of Switchback. Overcomes the weapon of Switchback onto Megalania. Doesn't really cause much major damage there. Switchback, of course, making it all the way to the top 8 last time around, where they were eventually beaten by Kraken. Megalania, of course, veterans of LEGO Wars. They've been around for the previous 3 series. It's their 4th attempt at the title. They've never really had great success. They've once made it to the bracket. They were knocked out there in the round of 16 by 23 red. Sort of new build every single series of LEGO Wars. This is the latest incarnation, Uppercut-esque, as I said earlier on. Doesn't like being turned over because the receiver, the infrared receiver, is on the top. You can kind of see it there on the left-hand side of the robot, and if it gets turned over, it struggles to receive reception. But whilst I'm talking about all of that, Switchback are immobilised on the arena wall here, and they are not traversing across the arena floor. They're going to get a famous win here, Megalania, in this new design. And Switchback is beaten.
6.
Megalania gets a great start to the heat. Switchback, what went wrong? Well, the aggressor at the start was Switchback. They came out of the blocks pretty sharpish and did cause damage to Megalania, although only superficial. Megalania definitely struggled with their own weapon spin-up at the start. Didn't really see much damage from them apart from the side panel being broken off of Switchback. Switchback, though, struggling to traverse across the arena, gets stuck here and gets pushed back against the arena wall by Megalania, and where it sits for the rest of the fight. Megalania picking up the win and 3 points.
Despite having some spin-up troubles, Megalania did the damage on the 8th seeds to start their rebound campaign well. Next up, it's the 17th seeds Cato, hoping to start their campaign strongly against LEGO Wars Champions winners Brick Astley.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Our second fight of the night then sees our 17th seeds Cato and Neimodia back in the arena as they take on the red hot favourites, I think, for the heat, Brick Astley, winners of LEGO Wars Champions. And if you haven't seen that tournament by now, you should have done. There's no excuse, it was out months ago. Cato and Neimodia, they know they've got a tough challenge here against a serial threat on the LEGO Wars scene, the live scene as well. Brick Astley is a fan favourite. We will never give you up, let you down, run around, or desert you. Tish. Cato and Neimodia, 17th seeds, ran out in the round of 16 last time to Kraken as well. So they also fought our eventual runners-up on the way to being defeated. They will hope that they can do some work against Brick Astley, and it will be a big ask if they can beat Brick Astley because Brick Astley is just so good. But they have opened the pit button here, or they pressed the pit button to open the pits, I should say. And I wonder if they have any aspirations of trying to throw Brick Astley down the pit, but they've got them pinned on the arena spikes at the moment. And it's a very controlled display thus far from Cato. A resolute robot, never really had amazing success in LEGO Wars, but have always been a threatening robot to fight. They do have excellent ground game at the front for just it being a wedge, and they are always very well controlled, and they will be hoping they can spring a surprise and an upset en route to defeating Brick Astley, who is so far, we've not seen the flipper get in until that moment. Look at that! As I was saying, we hadn't seen the big flipper activate, but we have now, and it's turned Cato up and over. Cato in all kinds of trouble, and Brick Astley goes in for another attack. Can Cato and Neimodia self-right? I don't know if they can from that angle. Brick Astley retracts the flipper. Are they going to go for the out of the arena flip? Cato and Neimodia in all kinds of trouble here. Brick Astley has the fight won. They don't need to go for the coup de grace, but they may well do nonetheless. Cato and Neimodia being edged towards the gap in the arena wall. Are we going to see a big flip from Brick Astley? They almost get Cato rolled over, but not out of the arena, certainly. And we are counting Cato down and out. The 17th seeds, we knew we're going to be up against it here.
6.
But Brick Astley, in one attack, turned the fight on its head, and indeed turned Cato on its head. Well, that indeed showed the potency of just how effective Brick Astley can be when given an opportunity, and Cato did a very good job, in my opinion, of kind of minimising the threat of that flipper. They avoided it pretty well throughout. Yes, Brick Astley got underneath a couple times, but mistimed the flipper, didn't maximise their opportunity, but it only took one opportunity for them to get in underneath and turn them over before the fight was swung completely in their favour, and Cato were beaten.
Brick Astley is continuing to show its credentials as our seeds look to have their work cut out to stay afloat tonight. Switchback is back in the arena to start their campaign as they take on the dangerous looking Flashover Delta. Or at least that was the plan. Yeah, sorry, Editor David back again. Much like last week with Beta and Kelsey, the footage has been corrupted, which is marvellous. Going forwards, we're just going to back everything up multiple times because it's been a bit tedious this year. From what I recall on this one, Flashover did break the egg beater on Switchback, but then the weapon thermaled from there, and it was just pushing back and forth. Honestly, the corrupted footage has probably saved you some sanity there, so, well. Flashover got the JD, apologies for the missing fight, this series is beautifully scuffed. Back to announcer David. Wish I could stop being cut off like that. Anyway, Switchback looks like they've got a mountain to climb to keep in contention as we'll move on to Fight 4 of the night between Brick Astley and Megalania.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, it's a shame we don't get to see Flashover Delta's first fight of Series 5, but we will see them, of course, a little bit later on. In the meantime, we have these two Goliaths in the arena together. Brick Astley taking on Megalania. Both these two winning their first fight via knockout, and both have 3 points on the board. Megalania will try and get that big weapon in to try and cause some damage to Brick Astley. Brick Astley, of course, we know what their game is. Get their opponent turned upside down and discombobulated. Mistimed flip there, though, by Brick Astley. Megalania, we know, struggle when turned upside down because they don't have the reception on their infrared sensor. You can kind of see it there on the left hand side of the robot. I said in the first fight It gets turned upside down. It kind of gets blocked by the rest of the robot, so it will struggle for control should they get turned over. Brick Astley launches its flipper again. Doesn't manage to get good purchase on their opponent, and so far, Megalania proving a little bit of a tricky and slippery customer to turn over. This is a good display from them so far, staying out of harm's reach of the big flipper of Brick Astley. Brick Astley spears itself into the arena wall. That's poor driving from them. Megalania could be able to capitalise here. Brick Astley is still speared under the wall. The weapon of Megalania stops. They're trying to get it back up to speed. It's not really churning through the gears. Currently, Brick Astley is stuck in the arena wall. Can they get away from there? This will be an almighty upset if Megalania can pick up 3 points from this fight, but Brick Astley currently is stuck on the arena wall, and the arena spikes that can try and help Brick Astley out, but they are being counted down and counted out here. Brick Astley, well, this is an almighty upset if it ends up going like this. They get oh my word! They get away with 1 second to spare. Brick Astley from the brink of defeat get a second chance in this fight. Can they capitalise now? Megalania didn't capitalise whilst Brick Astley was stuck in the wall. I'm surprised they didn't go in for the kill whilst they were stuck on the arena wall, but I suppose if they hit them, there was always the chance they dislodge them and they don't end up getting the KO anyway, so difficult one to judge. Although I have to say, Megalania's weapon isn't at its most potent, is it? Let's face it, it's barely worked in this fight, and thus far I would say even Stevens between the two. I'd say maybe Megalania on top on control, given the fact that Brick Astley just drove itself at the wall and has mistimed so many flips and almost gets pushed down the pit there by Megalania. Not known for its control, but I have to say, doing a very good job in this fight of keeping out of harm's reach of that big flipper of Brick Astley. And Brick Astley, we've not seen the potency that we're used to seeing from the LEGO Wars Champions winner. And surely here, they'll have to respond very quickly, because I would say they are behind on points, and we are down to the last 10 seconds here. We're going to get a time between these two. We have not seen the big flipper of Brick Astley in any great effect at all. We haven't seen the big weapon of Megalania to any great effect at all. It was very much a driving fight between these two, and it goes to time and our judges. I think it's fair to say that neither of these two were at their best during this fight. That huge initial shot from Megalania was the only real effective weapon hit we saw from the big spinner, and Brick Astley, well, they were somewhat limited throughout this fight as well. They kept missing with their weapon. They also speared the wall here. I think this is going to prove crucial with the judges, but I'm sure it could prove otherwise. They got away just in time as they're about to be counted out. Not an easy one for the judges.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Megalania. Brick Astley got ever so lucky to not be counted out there, as Megalania is looking pretty to regain a spot in the bracket this series. Down at the bottom of the table, Cato needs to get some points to the board, but may be fearful of their next opponent. It's not been long since Cato faced Nadu Flashover in International 5, where it got absolutely trashed before driving down the pit. Let's see if they'll still have a face by the end of the rematch.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Well, Cato and Neimodia know they have to do something to turn their heat around. It won't be an easy task because they fought Flashover Delta in LEGO Wars Champions and it did not go well for them on that occasion. They'll have to be a little bit more careful this time. Oh, but there goes most of the left-hand side of Cato and Neimodia in one shot against Flashover Delta. Flashover Delta, we didn't get to see its first fight, which is a bit of a shame, but it is such a massive, massive improvement on the robot that came in LEGO Wars Series 2 and 3. The Vert in Series 2, the full body spinner in Series 3, and Flashover Delta this time around is a serious threat to anyone in LEGO Wars, and anyone will be taking them seriously this time around. They won their first fight, of course, against Switchback, and Cato Neimodia, I think, is going to be heading in the same direction, but the direction it might be heading in first is a mortuary, because it's been absolutely destroyed by Flashover Delta. There is nothing left of Cato Neimodia. The 17th seeds desperately hitting the pit button, not getting it. They are in all kinds of shambles here, and Flashover Delta, they've lost a wedge as well. Well, the pit button's finally gone down now for Cato, but is it too little too late, because they are stuck on the ramp? Flashover, that's been discarded. Flashover, don't drive down the pit. They've lost a wheel now. It's all kicking off in the arena. Superb stuff here in the LEGO Wars arena in a shed in Norfolk somewhere, allegedly. Pushing back is Flashover. Cato Neimodia now back in the fight, kind of, I guess. They're still mobile. They're operating well with 3 wheels on their wagon. Flashover massively on top though after that early destructive rampage. There's nothing left of Cato. All the pink has gone apart from the wedge and a big smack there. There goes another wheel on Cato Neimodia. Can they crab their way back into victory? Well, it's going to be a big ask for them. They are being absolutely shredded by Flashover Delta. Flashover still shedding its own wedge on the arena floor. There's absolute bits and pieces everywhere, debris all over the arena. It's like watching Lance Stroll and Pastor Maldonado race in Formula 1 together. It's not going to end well for either of them, and in this situation, I think Cato Neimodia might have to accept defeat as well, because they are stuck in the corner and they're not really translating across the arena floor freely, although they are still technically mobile. Down comes the hammer, swinging away. Cato Neimodia is now being counted out though, and Flashover Delta, this has been an impressive and a dominant display by them. They have beaten both seeds back to back, this time with a KO victory. Flashover wins, Cato Neimodia destroyed. Well, just like in International, Flashover Delta made mincemeat out of Cato Neimodia. The pink peril completely destroyed, and the seeds will be wondering what they can do to turn their heat around. Flashover will be happy with their performance. They completely dominated the fight and shredded all of Cato Neimoidia's armour off of it in the end. They did lose a wheel, so that'll be a concern for them later on when they fight more damaging robots later on, but textbook performance from Flashover.
Flashover leaves Cato in a crumpled mess in the corner as our seeds are really struggling at half time. 8th seed Switchback may well be out if they don't win their next fight against current 3rd place Brick Astley.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, if Switchback are going to make a comeback in this heat, they need to start doing it basically now, because they are still yet to get a win on the board. Brick Astley, of course, lost their second match against Megalania, winning their first against Cato, who couldn't self-right, and Switchback here with a decent start, it has to be said, against Brick Astley, pushing them into the corner of the arena. Brick Astley now stuck in that corner, being penned back by Switchback. The 8 seeds need to do something to recover their kind of campaign. Brick Astley, meanwhile, has looked okay so far, not at their best, it has to be said. Throughout the heat, they have struggled initially with Cato Neimodia until they managed to turn them over, and now we'll be seeing how Switchback can do against the red peril that is Brick Astley. Brick Astley, of course, our LEGO Wars Champions winner. Switchback goes for the pit button, doesn't get it on that occasion. Switchback's weapon now up to speed. Brick Astley tries to manoeuvre itself to the side of Switchback even. Brick Astley is the robot trying to move it to the side. Switchback hits the pit button and gets it this time. Pit goes down. Switchback hovering by the pit. I think they've got probably slightly better pushing power than Brick Astley. They're using that to their advantage here, pushing Brick Astley very close to the pit. Couldn't quite get it down. Maybe try and get in underneath Brick Astley and lever it into the pit. That could be an option, or use the weapon to cause some damage to it as well. Brick Astley. Not really seen the flipper into play once again in this fight, have we? Not for the first time tonight. They've struggled to get that flipper in underneath and actually get to use that incredible flipper. Brick Astley, of course, as in our LEGO Wars Champions winner in the end. A stalwart on the LEGO Wars live scene, or the LEGO Robot Combat live scene. One of the premier robots in this series as well. And as I said, I think they're my favourites to win this heat. Although, that said, Switchback is doing a decent job here, the 8 seeds, of keeping Brick Astley face front and pushing Brick Astley very close to the lip of the pit and down the pit. It's a huge win for Switchback and their road to recovery. The 8 seeds have knocked Brick Astley out. Well, we were wondering how Brick Astley would recover from their match against Megalania, but in the end they didn't really, because Switchback drove beautifully to stay out of harm's reach of that enormous flipper at the front. Yes, they got underneath once, but didn't really get a meaningful flip. Switchback showed throughout the match they were able to push and bully Brick Astley where needed. In the end, it was all going to come down to drive power and pushing power, with Switchback got them turned towards the pit and faced them down into it.
Switchback get a lifeline with that pitting, leaving a point between our top 4 machines. Cato, meanwhile, remain at the bottom of the table and have to beat joint top Megalovania in our next bout. They have done it before this year in Champions, but it could be curtains if the Bone Vert repeats Flashover's damage levels.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, speaking of robots that need a recovery, I think Cato Neimodia, 17th seeds, needs something as well, because the 2 seeds in this heat have been taking a bit of a pasting from the unseeded robots so far. Megalania doing pretty well, has to be said. 2 wins on the board out of 2. They'll be hoping to make it 3 out of 3 and almost guarantee the first place in the bracket, but Cato has no fear and has put that weapon of theirs right into the weapon mech of Megalania. Got it stopped for a second and it isn't spinning up to the ferocity that it was before. We saw that, if you remember, in the fight against Astley earlier in the night. And I think Cato has done some internal damage, maybe to Megalania. Maybe there's a chain broken, I'm not sure. Megalania's weapon certainly isn't spinning up with any kind of ferocity. Almost in there, but it's just kind of not quite churning through the gears as they would like. Cato have lost part of their hammerhead and got destroyed in that impact as well, but crucially for them, the weapon of Megalania is not anywhere near as potent as it was initially, and now Cato almost has free rein to come in and hit it and push it where it wants, because they've got the control factor in this fight. They've got the, well, I say that now, Megalania's weapon is now up to speed, so that is a very terrifying prospect if you're the pink machine in this fight. The 17th seeds, goes weapon to weapon, face to face with Megalania. That's very brave of them, putting the axe in again. But Megalania almost had Cato down the pit, and there goes the face of Cato, completely caved in by Megalania's big spinning bar at the front. But the weapon has stopped once again. Megalania. Has the weapon been stilled for good this time? Was it one last big shot before the end for Megalania? And now Cato can bring its hammer in once more. Cato Neimodia using that hammer very well. Has been aggressive in this fight. There's no doubt about that. They have now got that wedge stuck underneath the robot. They can get it free. Can they get it underneath Megalania? They can. Can they turn Megalania around and maybe push it down the pit? Maybe push it into the screws of the arena spikes? Could do. But they instead insisting on bringing that axe down once again on top of Megalania. Megalania now stuck against the arena wall. Can't get away. Can't maneuver itself off of that kind of destroyed wedge at the front, which is now acting sort of like a tripping hazard. It's like off-centering and off-balancing. Look, Megalania. The Megalania wheels are spinning, but they're stuck on that front plough, the discarded front plough of Cato. They're free now. We are down to our last 10 seconds. Megalania has been impressive and has caused damage, but Cato has also been impressive in this fight. The weapon is back up to speed for Megalania. One big hit could swing the judge's decision, but it doesn't get it. We go to time, and we go to our panel of judges. Well, I'm sure the fear for Cato in this fight would have been that Megalania just did to them what Flashover did earlier in the heat, but that wasn't the case. Cato was able to get their hammer into play and cause trouble, certainly, for Megalania. There was that big impact which stopped the weapon of Megalania spinning up for quite some time. Megalania did eventually get their weapon back up and running and causing enormous damage to Cato's face, but only really superficial. It didn't really limit the effectiveness of Cato. Cato's hammer was very effective throughout.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Cato Neimodia. Cato's control was enough to claim the win, however without a KO their fate is out of their hands, as Astley can eliminate them if they pick up points in their final fight against Flashover Delta.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Astley and Flashover, two very impressive newcomers to LEGO Wars' main series. Of course, we saw them both have excellent runs in their own respective competitions. Flashover in International, Astley in LEGO Wars Champions. Flashover, of course, losing semi-finalist there to Mr. Waffle. If you didn't see that episode, then you should go and watch it and find out how on earth Mr. Waffle made it all the way to the semi-finals of International. Astley, of course, our LEGO Wars Champions winner. Astley stuck in the middle of the arena. Does it get moving again? Yes, it does. And Flashover's weapon is also back up to speed and trying to cause damage to Astley. Doesn't get any damage done, though. Goes weapon to weapon with Astley there. Astley trying to get in underneath, but that wedge at the front of Flashover is so low. Gets exposed there. Doesn't take advantage, though, Astley. Now to the side of Flashover, launches the flipper, doesn't get it, flips itself upside down, back on its wheels now. Flashover didn't really take advantage of that weapon, isn't running as smoothly as they would like. In fact, it's not running at all currently. Flashover, you need to do something here. Good flip by Astley, couldn't quite get it turned over though. Flashover back up to speed now, trying to get back up to speed. Brick Astley underneath Flashover and flips Flashover upside down and on their back, and they cannot get back from there. The weapon is not spinning, and I think that is the end of Flashover Delta in this fight. Are Brick Astley going to go for the coup de grace, the out of the arena flip? They're going to try and be the first ones to get someone out of that gap in the arena. No, they're going to let them be counted out. Brick Astley, secure the points, lads. Make sure that you go through first before getting ahead of yourselves. Brick Astley is the winner. Flashover defeated. It's a win for the Red Flipper. Well, it was Brick Astley's last fight of the night, and they needed a big performance in order to try and have some chance of qualification. We saw that today in this match. Flashover not really able to get their weapon into play and cause the damage that we know that they're capable of. Brick Astley is a very tough and resilient robot. Brick Astley mistimed a few flips when they had the opportunity to turn them over. They took it and left them there for all 3 points. Brick Astley, the worthy winner.
Despite a couple of meaty hits, one flip was all it took for Brick Astley to take Flashover down and knock Cato out of contention as collateral. They're first for the time being, but a KO for either of our Verts, Megalania and Flashover would win them the heat, so let's see if either can deliver that killer blow.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Away we go then for our penultimate fight of the night. Megalania and Flashover, the two big spinners in the heat. Both of these two need the points on the board if they want to have any chance and certainty of qualification. That's a big hit there from Flashover, and that is the weapon stopped of Megalania. Megalavania's weapon is stopped and stilled, and is that the end of the fight as a contest? Because I think Megalavania's weapon could be toast here. Flashover trying to get their own weapon back up to speed, can't quite do it yet, and still not really able to get it cranking through the gears. Are both weapons suffering ill effect after that huge initial impact from the two? Yes, I think they are. This is going to be a very long fight if one hit is all we're going to get from these two. I suppose the one added benefit is Flashover's design does encourage as a good pusher as well. It has got those two big scoops at the front, or one now I guess, but that does aid their pushing ability. Megalania has the little forks which are all bent out of whack and out of shape and not all pointing in the right direction that they need to be an effective pusher, although what it is, and they are in underneath Megalania here, they're in underneath Flashover. Flashover is now getting its weapon back up to speed again, and it is spinning at maximum velocity. Are they going to be able to bring that weapon into contact? I wonder. They get away from Megalania there. Megalania kind of trying to stay away from the big spinning wheel at the front of Flashover Delta. Can Flashover bring it into play? Yes. Doesn't really do much though. Flashover stands back and once again tries to get the weapon up to speed. Doesn't get it. Look at that. It's really struggling to kind of crank through the gears here, Flashover, and I do think that could be an issue as we progress through the series. If they make it through the heat, of course, there's no guarantee of that just yet. If Megalania can get a knockout win here and, you know, results go against them elsewhere, then there is a chance that Flashover doesn't even make it out of the heat, which would be a bit of a shame, really. Megalania now trying to get their own weapon into play, and they are spinning up to speed very well here. Where's this come from? The weapon of Megalania back into play, although it is spinning the wrong direction. Flashover bumping into Megalania. Megalania pushing Flashover into the pit button. Pit button activated now by Flashover. Can either of these two get the other down the pit, I wonder? Could be a viable tactic for either of them. Flashover and Megalania then. This isn't the kind of, you know, knockout, throw down fight we were expecting from these two big spinners. It's been very tactical and cagey. One hit from, you know, the two spinners at the start, and that's all we've really got in terms of effective weapon usage from either of them. Flashover trying to get the weapon up to speed again, does so briefly, but brought into check with Megalavania's armour and then stops once again. The weapon is now churning through the gears once more. We are going to get a time between these two, and a big hit there at the end by Flashover. Could that be crucial to swing it with the judges? The weapon is still working for them. I'm not too sure about Megalavania's. We go to time, and our judges will decide between these two. Well, like I said, after that one initial hit at the start, this fight really did become a bit of a pushing and shoving match. This impact there really did disable both weapons on impact. They kind of got a few hits on in between in the fight, but nothing meaningful. The wedge coming off of Flashover there definitely impaired them. The forks of Megalovania pointing all in the wrong direction certainly didn't help them either. They did get weapons up to speed at some point, but not spinning in the right direction. A bit of a slugfest between the two, not really the fight we were hoping for, as we await our decision.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Flashover Delta. The win was decided pretty early on in that fight, but the lack of KO leaves us in unknown waters as Megalovania, Astley and Flashover Delta are all tied on 7 points. There may even be a fourth 7-pointer as Switchback can knock out the fallen seeds Cato, so let's see if they can add to my standings headache.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Our 2 seeds then will close out the heat as is tradition. Cato and Neimodia seeded 17, Switchback seeded 8. Cato and Neimodia already out, of course. They cannot get through to the bracket at this stage. Switchback can with some favours. They need a knockout win here, and then it will go to count back as to how we decide the rest of the... I have no idea, because everyone will be tied on 7 points. Down comes the hammer of Cato and Neimodia. Over and over again on Switchback, they'll be hoping to try and keep the trend going of the lower seed winning in every single heat in the seed match so far this series. Switchback will be hoping for the exact opposite, of course. In comes that weapon of Switchback going in reverse mode and hitting the top off of the Cato Neimodia wedge there. The hammer of Cato caught in between the floor and Switchback's weapon. It brings it into play once again. Switchback trying to bring their weapon back into reverse once more. Good control here by Switchback. We've not really seen this tactic much from them, but off comes the lid there of Cato Neimodia. Great control again by Switchback. Brilliant work from them. Cato, they know what they need to do to play spoiler for Switchback in this heat at the moment. They need to try and beat them, or at very least don't lose by knockout. Switchback doing all they can at the moment and doing it very well, I have to say, causing damage to Cato Neimodia all over the place. Look at the shrapnel all around the arena. We love to see it. That's why we love the Lego fight so much. We see so much bits and pieces flying everywhere, and Switchback causing more damage. Look to Cato Neimodia. That Switchback weapon, we've not really seen it to great effect tonight, but we are seeing it now, which is a lovely thing to see on a Switchback here. That weapon has stopped momentarily, and is it okay? Yes. Are Switchback okay? I'm not too sure. They're not driving massively happily, although Cato is living very dangerously near the pits. Can they get away from there? They can. In comes the hammer again of Cato, and Switchback is stuck on something on the arena floor there. High centered, certainly the wheels are spinning, and Cato Neimodia here, the excess armour that's been shredded away, has immobilised Switchback, has it? Switchback can't get away from where they are at the moment. They're going to need to do so quickly, otherwise they will be counted out, because this is a brilliant display of resilience from Cato Neimodia, the 17th seeds. So far, not really had the best of evenings. They've got a win, of course, over Megalania early on via the judges. Switchback, of course, got a couple of wins tonight. I'll say that. They've only got 1 win tonight. I'm lying to you. But they've been okay. They're still in contention, but Cato certainly aren't, and they are going to be hoping that they can maybe play spoiler, as I said, to Switchback, who is not moving happily around the arena, and that is confirmation of that. The countdown is starting for Switchback. The 8th seed here are going to lose to the 17th seed, and once again the lower seed is going to win. Switchback is spoiled. Cato Neimodia gets the victory right to the death, and that prevents Switchback from going through. Both seeds are out. Well, for a vast proportion of this fight, it was looking very, very good for Switchback. Yes, Cato were using their hammer very aggressively, but Switchback was driving beautifully, and using that weapon in reverse mode really was a nice touch. They were doing lots of damage to Cato. They caused the face to get disintegrated once again. As soon as that happened, though, here, well, that's when the fight started to turn. Switchback got high-centered on some parts of Cato Neimoidia's excess debris, and in the end were counted out over in the corner. Cato, the winner!
Switchback's drive cuts out on it just before time to take them down, along with already out Cato to confirm neither seed will be progressing tonight. Now all that's left is to sort out our medal at the top. As with Heat K last year, we brought our 3 tied robots for a sudden death rumble to decide who has to deal with the play-ins. Guess this at least makes up for that lost footage.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Well, I did say things were going to get messy if Switchback won, because all 3 of these robots were on 7 points, and all 3 of these will be hoping that they can win the heat. Flashover in there with Megalania and Astley. All 3 of these will be hoping to win the heat and secure their place in the bracket. Second place also goes through to the bracket. Third place, of course, into our play-ins. Flashover Delta up to speed, as is Megalania. Both those weapons have been repaired from their fight earlier on tonight, and Astley, they know they're up against it here. The 2 big spinners will be trying desperately to beat Astley, who I think is definitely the biggest threat in there. I did say earlier on tonight they were my tips to win the heat, but so far we've not seen them at their best, I don't think, throughout the course of the evening, it has to be said. But they're doing okay so far, and Megalania, of course, has beaten them once already tonight. They'll be hoping they can do so again. Megalovania's weapon has stopped. In goes Flashover Delta. They get a good uppercut on Brick Astley. The Brick Astley flipper is stuck in the air. Flashover pinning Megalania by the pit button. Pit button has not gone down though, that's good for them. Well, it's good for Flashover as well because they were over the pit at the time. Flashover now hits the pit button and activates it properly. There goes the Megalania weapon up to speed now. Damage caused there to Brick Astley. Once again, we see the two spinners up to speed properly this time. And Megalania is pinning Brick Astley in the corner. Look at that Flashover standing off there. They're not going anywhere near the big spinner that is Megalania. They're definitely targeting the flipper here. The LEGO Wars Champions winner, Brick Astley, who I have to say they've not been, again, at their most effective here. The flipper hasn't really been in play that much. We saw earlier how effective it can be when they flipped Flashover over and knocked them out, but in this fight here against the two big spinners, they don't really know who to target. I don't think they're at their best. They kind of lack that kind of centre of the arena. They didn't really have the ability to control the fight as they would like. And let's see if they can turn that around as the fight progresses. In goes Flashover again. That weapon is still at speed, but turned over this time by Brick Astley. Good flip by Brick Astley. Over goes Flashover. That will be that for them, I think, unless there is a monumental turnaround and quickly, which would mean that they finish third in the heat and will have to go through the play-ins for Flashover Delta. That's a shame for them, but what a marked improvement this has been over the previous two entries they've had in LEGO Wars. And almost Brick Astley down the pit there, upside down. Can they get away from the rock and the hard place that they're caught in? Brick Astley have driven themselves down the pit, and that is that. Megalania is going to win the heat. Well, it's always a nice fun novelty to end the heat with one of these three-way matches, and it didn't disappoint, did it? Brick Astley, I think, struggled with the lack of ability to kind of manoeuvre themselves around the arena and hold the centre of the arena and dominate the match as they are wont to do, but in this instance, I think they weren't helped by the fact that Megalania and Flashover definitely weren't targeting each other, let's say that much, and fair play to them, they know the threat in the arena. Brick Astley, we saw the threat there, over they went, Flashover, but in the end, down the pit themselves!
And so after that wild finish, it's Flashover Delta who will have to fight their way through the play-ins. It's been a crazy night in the arena as both of our seeds crashed out for the first time this series, while despite some spin-up gremlins, Megalania managed to outlast its opponents to end the night on top. That's all from us tonight, but join us next time when the 6th Seeds 23 Red will gamble on another deep run. For now though, I've been your host David of Smeg, and we'll see you in the next one.
No, you're not.
10,
Not
9,
likely.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That was a bit quick.
Good.
You're right.
But my God,
I'm fine.
the meds kicked in suddenly.